Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Listen, man. Devin Haney, he got a big fight this weekend. I'm not giving him a chance to win the fight. Can he win? Yeah, it's boxing. Anything can happen. But I just don't think Devin Haney's going to be able to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because I think the question that's going to get answered this weekend is if Devin Haney can pull the trigger. And even if he can pull the trigger, he's pulling the trigger on what? You know what I'm saying? It ain't a sawed-off shotgun that he's firing in the ring. It's a little, deuce. Probably give you a little abrasion or something, but it's nothing that's going to kill you. And that's what everybody is asking, at least those of us who feel that Devin Haney really doesn't stand a chance against Brian Norman Jr. Now, you see, one of the biggest mysteries in boxing today is just where Devin Haney is at. He's been through a lot. It's not his fault that he was in there with Ryan Garcia, who tested positive for PEDs, all right? But what we have noticed is a big-time shift in Devin Haney. And I know it was just one fight, but that one fight was more than enough to let me know that Devin Haney has less confidence than what he had going into the Ryan Garcia fight. Just looking off of the Ramirez performance, you can see there's less snap, shorter combinations, and a crystal clear reluctance to sit down on punches. Let me tell y'all this. If Devin didn't do these things when he fought Ramirez, who's very slow with heavy feet, what makes you think he's going to get in there with Brian Norman Jr. and all of a sudden have the motivation to sit down on punches and throw multiple combinations and to have this newfound confidence? To that I say, in the most respectful way, hey, yo, hold your horses and stop taking it to the stupid. When you combine what we just talked about with being physically punished in the past, let me tell you something. You got to understand that you got to take this conversation serious. Now, for those who didn't know, the camp for Regis Prograis sounds like Devin Haney went through hell in that camp. When he fought Lomachenko, that was a war. Devin Haney got busted up really good in that fight. Although I thought he won, most of the rounds. And then with Ryan Garcia, the loss, we all know Ryan Garcia was dirty, but those were pretty brutal beatdowns. Now he's going into a fight with Brian Norman Jr. Young, rugged, physically explosive. The question becomes even more important, and he's motivated. Brian Norman Jr. is looking at what Floyd Mayweather did. He's looking at what all the greats did. Heavyweights, cruiserweights, all of them. He's like, they had 24 hours in a day. What did they do with their 24 hours? I have 24 hours in a day. What am I going to do? Because I want to be great too. I'm not just looking to come out here and beat Devin Haney. That's what this isn't about. Just me coming and beating Devin. Nah. I got a long-term plan here. And Devin Haney is just the beginning of where I want to go. Now, as far as me saying Devin Haney can't pull the trigger, let's understand, Devin Haney has never been a knockout puncher. But when we talk about pulling the trigger, it means more than just trying to knock somebody out. It means letting your hands go without hesitation. A fighter who pulls the trigger punches when the opening appears, not a second later. Hesitation equals danger. Devin Haney showed me in this last fight, and I don't think it's going to change, don't care how hard his sparring sessions were, that there's some hesitation there, that he's worried about danger. He may see an opening and not, take the risk to let his hands go out of fear of what may be coming back. Then you have trust in your chin and your defense. If a boxer fears the return fire, they punch less. It's human nature. I'm telling you from experience. When you're in there and you get hit with some shit, you think twice about letting your hands go. Next thing you know, you find yourself clinching a lot. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you from experience. I've been on both ends of the goddamn stick, you know. And then believing your punches will actually do something. Fighters who don't believe in their power throw punches just to score, not to hurt. You start to coochie coo, chicken peck, and tickle. That's Devin Haney. If Devin Haney does try to commit and sustain some kind of attack, and he realizes, yo, these punches aren't doing nothing against Brian Norman Jr., Devin Haney is going to maybe look to just kind of shoe shine and hope the judges see the fight his way and go in there and steal a decision. I just don't think that's going to work out. I think out there on the Saudi card with Turki Al-Sheikh, when Turki's in the house, every day's Thanksgiving. I don't think Turki's going to be okay with that. He probably sees somebody trying to chicken peck and coochie coo and tickle their way to a decision. Turki probably going to walk into the ring, grab the microphone and say, hey, yo, hold your horses. Stop taking it to the goddamn stupid. The other thing is no emotional fear response. A fighter who flinches or tightens up automatically loses offensive rhythm. And that's what I'm going to be watching for with Devin Haney. No emotional fear response. How much is he going to flinch? How much is he going to tighten up? You know, they were tracking his clinches in the fight. Devin Haney has no problem clinching. I just don't know if he's going to be able to clinch and overpower Brian Norman Jr. And then the other thing is timing is sharp. You know, if his timing is gone, even good technique looks shaky. And Devin has always had really good technique. But I'm just telling you, in this fight, I think it's going to show the signs of hesitation. I think we're going to see timing issues and a growing reluctance to commit because you're sitting here watching a guy, Brian Norman Jr., knock people out cold. That's got to mess with you mentally. You know what I mean? It's got to really take a toll on your mind. So, I mean, but that's to be understood. When you take serious damage in previous fights, as a fighter, that's got to affect you. You know what I'm saying? Especially if, you know, you don't want to continue to take repeated punishment to the head or whatever. I think we're going to see some predictable patterns in Devin Haney. But I just try to understand the physical and psychological impacts of what Devin Haney has gone through now. For some say, okay, so what are the physical consequences of repeated hard shots? Yo, the nervous system slows down. You know, did he get beat on so bad by Ryan Garcia for that whole fight to where we got the biggest issue that his nervous system has slowed down? When a fighter has absorbed too many concussive shots, the brain reacts slower. Slower reaction equals slower decisions, equals slower punches. That could be Devin Haney. Then the chin weakens when you've taken repeated hard shots. Haney's always been known for durability, a great defense, but Lomachenko did stun him. Ryan Garcia damn near killed him. And sparring rumor says he's been rocked even before big fights. So once a chin shows cracks, confidence follows. And one thing is true. When you've been hit hard, the body becomes more sensitive to shots. When a fighter has been hurt before, punches that didn't bother them previously suddenly feel heavier, man. The neck and shoulder tension develops. This makes punches look slower and reduces fluidity. So, you know, that's the physical consequences of repeated hard shots. This is what we could see with Devin Haney. I think we will. I think we saw it in the Ramirez fight. But then there are the psychological consequences of taking that damage too, which is even more important than the physical side, in my opinion, because now you don't want to get hit. Your fear of getting hit increases. The shit's biological, man. Your brain is trying to protect you. If Haney subconsciously fears what happens when he gets caught, he's going to. I'm telling you, throw fewer punches, run faster, stay defensive, clinch more, try to survive on points, take it to the stupid, and lose a lopsided decision because he didn't try to be great. He didn't give himself a chance to win. But those are some of the psychological consequences of having someone put the bing bings on you. That confidence drops. The loss to Garcia wasn't just a loss, man. Even though it was overturned, it was a public embarrassment. That shakes the fighter's warrior identity. And it's unfortunate because I know Devin's dropped the lawsuit, but what Ryan did was wrong. Wrong on so many levels. Really pisses me off. But it is what it is. I think Devin Haney's warrior identity has been shaken. So it is what it is. And then hesitation is going to become habitat. Because that's where he's going to be. He's going to be in a habitat of hesitation. And everything around him is going to be that. His punch that he lives with is going to be in a habitat of hesitation. His defense that he lives with, his head movement, everything is a habitat of hesitation. And by living in a habitat of hesitation, the hesitation becomes habit. Once the fighter becomes cautious, that cautiousness becomes part of their style. This happened to Miguel Cotto after Margarito won. You know, that Margarito 1 fight was horrible. What Margarito did to Cotto was wrong, man. Anthony Joshua after Ruiz. Anthony Joshua's still out here, man, doesn't want to get hit. Roy Jones after Tarver. You just saw Roy Jones wasn't the same after that Tarver fight. Adrian Broner after McDonough. He just did not want to get hit because he got bing-binged. And now we're seeing signs in Haney. You watch. It's unfortunate, man, you know. Haney, Miguel Cotto and Devin Haney are two examples of what I call just being done wrong. But it is what it is, okay? Now, the fighter becomes overly defensive. And let me tell you something. When they become overly defensive like that, and Devin's already been very defensive, but I think you're going to see this weekend. He's overly defensive, and it's just because he's been punished and he no longer thinks offensively. He'll talk the talk, but he won't get in there and walk the walk and let his hands go, man. I think with Devin, everything with him is, and his dad too, is don't get hit instead of let me land this shot. Before the Ryan Garcia fight, it was like, shit, let me land these shots and get my shots off. It wasn't them too much. You know, they didn't get hit much, but he was definitely more offensive-minded. And you know it's going to be mentally exhausting in training camp. I can only imagine what he went through, what the team went through. A fighter uncertain about their chin cannot fully focus during training. That's just a fact, man. Shit creates anxiety, which kills performance, man. It is what it is. So, specifically when it comes to Devin Haney, how does this affect him? I think we just got to take a look at the Haney timeline. You know what I mean? I got to go get some coffee, too, before I go get my sons. Haney's style was always risk avoidant. Even before being damaged, he was jab heavy, clinch heavy, defense first, safety first. Make sure you have a pair of New Balance 990s on so he could run his ass around the ring and be a boxer runner. But now that cautious style has turned into full-blown hesitation. Ryan Garcia, that fight changed him. It changed him, man. You know, he wasn't just dropped. You know, Devin Haney was launched. And this wasn't a flash knockdown, a balance issue, a lucky shot. When Ryan fought Devin, it was repeated concussive, violent damage on a drained opponent who still couldn't take Garcia's power. You know what I'm saying? And Garcia was drained in that fight. He was out of shape. He was all over the place. And for those who say, nah, he wasn't drained, he didn't make the weight. Yeah, his ass was drained. He was drained from drugs, drained from alcohol, drained from sleep deprivation and partying. He was just a drained opponent who shouldn't have been able to get a victory over Devin, but, you know, he was on the cocktail, so Devin Haney suffered repeated concussive violent damage. That's unfortunate. And that type of loss follows a fighter forever, and I'm just being real. And I just don't think his punches are going to have any commitment, you know? I don't see him sitting on shots. I think he's just going to punch just to touch his opponent. I think his shots aren't going to have any torque. And I don't think you're going to punch with any conviction. I think you're just going to try to score points and get to a decision. And those things are the clearest signs a fighter is afraid of being countered. And I do think you're going to see in this fight, when Devin's not running, he's going to be easier to hit. Because I do think the reflexes have slowed down considerably. You know, once your reflexes slow down just slightly, your defense changes. And I haven't really heard much about his training camp, except the clip of him showing him working on a big left hook. But I think we're going to expect to see less head movement. I think the exits are going to be slower. I think there'll be a lot more straight line movement and over-reliance on clinching. And those are all red flags. So it is what it is. So how the damage may affect Haney versus Brian Norman Jr., pretty damn simple. Devin gets tranquilized. Norman's younger, more explosive, more durable, more aggressive. It's a better natural puncher, a pressure fighter. It's exactly the style that exposes a fighter who can't pull the trigger. Devin can't pull the trigger. And this is what I think could happen in that fight. Haney may just get jumped and touched early. If Haney hesitates, Norman will close the gap and start ripping power shots. And Devin Haney going to be chest to canvas, ass in the air like at a Diddy party. If Haney tries to clinch too much, let me tell you, all that excessive clinching, the ref may take points or break them aggressively. A Turk al-Sheikh may jump in the ring and, basically tell Devin Haney, hey, yo, stop taking to the stupid and fight. But Devin's got to commit to his counters. But if he doesn't commit to his counters, if he can't punch with authority, Norman will walk through him. It's pretty damn simple to me. And then Haney freezes under pressure. If he's afraid to get hit, let me tell you something. Norman's going to go in for the kill. And if Haney gets caught late, if he's tired, I'm telling you, if he's tired and cautious, he's going to be vulnerable in rounds 9 through 10. You know what I'm saying? So the best case scenario for Haney, if I could, put together a blueprint for him, it'd be jab constantly, move laterally, stay out of exchanges, clinch smartly, not desperately, use his height and length, and don't stand in the pocket more than a second. Get your ass out of there. Don't admire your work if you do have some success. And use his IQ, not his brawling instinct. But if Haney fights the perfect fight, can stay a step ahead of Brian Norman Jr., especially with his stamina, shit, Devin Haney may win a decision. But if he hesitates once, Norman can flip the script. And that's going to create a worst case scenario for Haney. And if he's afraid to get hit, that's not good. If his reflexes have slowed, that's not good. If he can't pull the trigger, that is dangerous. And if his chin has already been compromised, Norman's going to stop him. Not because Norman is necessarily better or anything, but because he's just no longer the same fighter. And this is what makes the matchup so dangerous. So, my 2 cents, which may or may not matter to you. Will Haney still pull the trigger? Right now, my damn water. Based on the last few performances, the body language, the Garcia fight, the defensive hesitations, the lack of punch commitment, Haney looks like a fighter who's lost confidence in his chin, his power, and his offense. And I'm just being real with you know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean he can't win, but it does mean he's vulnerable in ways he never was before. And if Norman comes in with the right plan, he could expose every one of those vulnerabilities, man. And that's exactly what I think is going to happen, is Brian Norman Jr. is going to expose the vulnerabilities, and Devin's going to be looking pretty bad, Anyway, y'all keep cool. Devin Haney's in bad shape. But he's going to make some good money. Then after this, he'll have one more fight. But, hey, there's nothing wrong in fighting and doing your best and taking a loss. It's boxing. Not everybody can retire undefeated. Not everybody can be I made smart business decisions. Not everybody can be Floyd Mayweather, right? Y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. I'm going to make my coffee, man. My ass is tired. Keep cool. And I ran for 1 hour and 15 minutes today up hills. You believe that shit? Every day, about 5-6 days a week. But I got to put that work in, man. You can sleep when you're dead, right? Y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.